Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here, and today I want to bring on a friend of mine who is a meditation expert. You may have heard of him before from 2000 Books. His name is Manny, and I wanted to talk to him about meditation to kind of share with you guys because I've been kind of skeptical in the past about meditation, but in the recent probably month or so, Manny convinced me to start meditating. This really made an impact on me. I know a lot of you have been asking me, you're like, oh, John, do you meditate? Should I meditate? And, I thought, well, rather than me making just a video about this, telling you about it, why not bring someone on who's been doing this for a long time, who has taught people successfully how to meditate. And so welcome, Manny.
Hey, thanks for having me, buddy. Really excited to talk to people about the power of meditation. Some of you guys may already know me. I'm Manny. I'm the founder of 2000 Books, book summaries for entrepreneurs. Before that, in my life, I studied physics. I used to be an engineer, spent a lot of time in that field doing electrical and computer engineering. And before that, I used to be a physics guy. So a lot of different things have happened in my life, but meditation is one thing that has stayed consistent. And to your point, John, of how you used to be skeptical of meditation, I know that very well because there was one day we were in the gym and you said a very interesting quote by, I think, Nassim Nicholas Taleb, which was the difference between meditation and Stoic philosophy, I think. I'm not sure if you remember the exact quote.
Oh yeah, no. He said it's one of my favorite quotes. He says a Stoic is a Buddhist who says "fuck you" to fate.
Yeah. But the thing about meditation, I'm not sure if he was making a reference to meditation there. But meditation is not Buddhist. It's not. It's completely secular. It's non-traditional, and there's no idea of fate in that philosophy, in the meditation philosophy, or in Buddhist philosophy either. But I'm not going to talk about Buddhist philosophy. I just believe that a lot of people, there's so much skepticism about meditation out there, especially if you're, more analytical. Like I was very skeptical. You're very analytical. Developers are analytical. Us engineers are analytical. We're always thinking like, hey, this doesn't make sense. I don't know why this will help me, so I don't want to do it. So I was skeptical for a long time, but the scientific community, the research on this is amazing. Like so many research studies from Harvard to UCLA to University of Wisconsin, University of California, Davis. So much research study coming out there, like 1,000+ studies on the power of meditation. And again, I think the biggest point that I want to get to people who are skeptical is that it's got nothing to do with religion. It's got nothing to do with spirituality. It's just straight up a workout for your brain. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. And I think that's definitely true. Yeah. The quote I think is more aimed at like telling you what a Stoic is just this idea that that you're not moved by fate. Like basically, it doesn't matter whatever the fuck happens. You're going to be able to handle whatever comes your way. But meditation definitely. Definitely, I think there's definitely a stigma, a religious stigma with it. I know when I was growing up, my mom used to be like, "Oh no, it's no good. It's no good. It's the devil." It's like you have to pray, not meditate. Meditation is, but it's so untrue because it's really just it's a practice of the mind. And one of the things that I found was when I've been doing this lately is, in fact, I just sat down to meditate, about an hour earlier today. And I found out that it's like, to me, it feels like uncluttering my mind because like, as soon as I start to meditate, like all of these, like you have all these subconscious like processes, like it's like this ping notification process that's like in this loop. And it's going because you're trying to keep all this stuff in your head so you don't forget all this shit. And as soon as you go to like block it out, like to meditate, to focus on your breathing, then all of that comes up and you realize how much chaos is in your mind and how cluttered it is. And that's the thing that I found the most benefit so far. It's just one, being aware of that and realizing, oh shit, the reason why you're stressed out, even though it feels like you're not, like there's nothing going on, like you're like, oh, my mind is blank. It's not blank. The reason why you're stressed out is because all this shit is going on and you're unaware of it because it's happening at a subconscious level. And then two, being able to like let that die down for a minute, right? To actually realize, okay, Oh, I can actually stick my head up above the air and breathe for a minute because I don't have all this going on because I'm focusing on the present moment, on now. Whereas your mind is always going, even at a subconscious level, on the past, on the future, on what you got to do and what's happening. So that's been like probably the biggest thing for me so far.
Yeah, and that is a really important place we need to get to in our practice, which is to be able to understand that our minds are monkey minds. They're not
Yeah,
in our control. Much as we like to think that the mind is within our control, it's not. It's doing its own crazy thing, and it's stressing us out on the underneath the surface. And we're trying to get stuff done, but we've got so much shit going on in our head. We're constantly revving it up. And what meditation does in some ways, and the practice that you started doing, I guess, is the most basic form of breath-based meditation that I talk about and that I teach. It is really simply to be able to observe your breath. And in that observation, what you often find is your attention wanders away. And then you
right,
bring it back to the present moment, and then again it wanders away. Then you bring it back to the present moment, then you again wanders away. And that's so important to understand, that this attention that we think is so within ourselves, or we are such masters of our domain, we're not. And this whole process of meditation literally trains our brain, trains our mind to constantly keep coming back right here, right now. Don't
right.
run away. Don't think about 1,000 other things. Right here, right now. Because as soon as you start living in the present, life becomes so much faster. Like, so faster or slower is a way you would look at it. But what I mean by that is, when you are in the present, your mind is clearer, you're sharper, and you get stuff done.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that skill translates beyond just the meditation practice. It's when when you're sitting and you're trying to work, you're trying to write something, you're trying to write a blog post, you're trying to record a video, you're trying to do something, and now your mind isn't wandering as much. Like, or you can reel it back in really quickly, as opposed to opening up 15 browser windows and saying, I wonder what messages I got on Facebook, and I wonder what emails I have right now, and all these things that distract you and take away from your focus. Because focus, I think that's probably the biggest, I guess, probably the biggest productivity life hack that exists is focus, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think most people are operating in what I would call the default mode. The default mode is, let the mind just do its own thing, and you're just along for the ride. The mind is doing its own thing. It's changing the browser, it's changing this website, and we're not even awake, that we're not even aware that this is happening, until meditation comes into the picture. And then you start to realize, oh shit, why am I doing this? How did I just end up here? Like, what the hell am I doing with my crazy? Like, this is crazy. I can't believe, while I was just intently working on something, I suddenly decided to open this new browser window and check out this YouTube video. I cannot believe I did that, but I did it. And then over time, you start to like develop this awareness and develop this clarity of moment to moment to moment. You're clear. You are the master of your mind, rather than the mind running you as a slave. And that's a very powerful distinction for a lot of people. They're thinking, well, the mind is all there is. What meditation really is teaching us, that there is an awareness about our mind. There's an awareness about our thinking that can actually see what's going on inside our mind. And that is meditation, that awareness. It keeps growing stronger as we do more of it.
Right. And that's the key, I think, to any kind of real lasting behavior or modification or permanent change. Like, if you want to change as a person, I know when I first started, really like self-examining and really introspecting, it was, I had to take that observer role. I had to like learn how to say, okay, look, this is you being crazy right now. Like, okay, you're angry right now. Like, I'm seeing myself being angry, and I'm not judging, but I'm just seeing it happening. And so now I can step from the outside. I can say, okay, now I'm looking outside on myself. I can make some tweaks. I can say, okay, let's change this. Let's make this modification. Whereas when you're in the machine, you can't, like, you can't see, you can only see what's in front of you. You can't see where you are in relation to where you're headed. And when you're meditating, when you've got that observer viewpoint, to me at least, it makes it much more clear. It's like, okay, I don't even know what emotions I'm feeling right now, like in the moment. But when I meditate, then I'm stepping back and I'm saying, okay, look, this is interesting. So this is what, you've got all this stress, you've got all this frustration, right? You've got like all these things going on, not from a judgmental perspective, but from that third person. And now I can say, okay, well, logically, what can I do? How can I make changes? What can I do to alter my perception? How can I alter my life? Whereas when I'm in that pilot seat, I can't, because I'm just reacting. I'm just constantly reacting.
Yeah. So the way I would like to think of it, or the way I would describe, or just to rephrase some of the stuff that you just said, a lot of the times people say to themselves, or they think, I am angry, right? You just think, hey, I am angry. And that's the end of the story. But what happens with meditation over time is you begin to notice, I am feeling anger. And that is very different from I am angry.
Right.
I am angry, you've identified with your anger completely and you are in it now. But when you can tell yourself, or when you can identify that I am feeling angry, then you actually have a way to say, hey, I can now switch it over. I can switch this. I can change to something else. I can feel something else, or I can at least, the observation starts first. The first thing is the observation. That's what meditation teaches us, becoming an observer. And as soon as you observe the fact that you are, I am feeling anger, now you can say, okay, I'm feeling anger. This is what's the reason, blah, 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 and how I can switch over to something else. And that observation, that what I call meta level awareness. Well, I don't call it. Everyone understands. Maybe I shouldn't say everyone understands, but that's the understanding, the big picture, meta level understanding we must have in order to develop ourselves, to develop in the meditation practice, or in overall self-development space.
Right.
If you do not have meta level awareness, it's very difficult to grow yourself.
Exactly. Well, this ties right into the, I always talk about this idea of being able to work without motivation, right? Like, one of the most important skills that you can have in life is to be able to just do shit when you even don't feel motivated to do it. And which is, because if you think about that, motivation is kind of an emotional state. Like, you feel motivated, right? And so, sometimes I'm at the gym and I'm like, I don't feel motivated, but then because I'm looking at it, I can actually recognize that myself. I'm like, oh, look, you're feeling unmotivated and lazy today. But then I can say, but you're going to do it anyway, because I'm at the higher level operating, saying, okay, well, you're the sim and you're going to do what I say, Mr. Sim. Like, you're going to do this because this is, as opposed to just being driven by, what do I feel like? If you're driven by how you feel, you're going to go in all kinds of random directions. You're not going to have a focus. You're going to be scattershot, because you're going to feel like this, and then you're going to feel like that, and you're going to feel like this, and you're going to be going everywhere. Whereas if you're one level above that, you're like, okay, yeah, you feel this, but it doesn't matter, because that's not the mission. That's not the objective is this. It's okay to feel that. That's fine. But you're going to do it anyway. And that I found that was the key to discipline, is to have that.
Yeah. And here's the science behind why meditation helps with that. Okay, the real science behind it. What happens is, or maybe it's actually scientific evidence. Let me put it that way.
Right.
Research done at Harvard University by Sarah Lazar, I think in 2005, where they actually used fMRI machines. Now we're getting advanced. We're literally looking into the brains of people using fMRI machines, and they measured the thickness of your prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain that's the executive decision-making part of the brain, right? That's the one that can overrule anything that's going on and say, no, I must do this. Oh, I should plan. Prefrontal cortex is required for planning, for decision-making, for thinking, for executive functioning, for information processing. It's one of the most important parts of our brain when it comes to processing,
It's where your willpower is, basically.
It is the center of your willpower, but it's got a lot more. It's got more things that it does, which is, which I just told you about. Now, what happened was they looked at it. I think they looked at meditators versus non-meditators over a period of just 8 weeks. 8 weeks. What they found was, in meditators, gray matter density increased in the prefrontal cortex of people who were meditating, and compared to those who were not meditating, right? Gray matter density was increasing in those who were meditating compared to those who were not meditating. And that's so crazy. I mean, we're literally using MRI machines, looking into the brain, looking into the prefrontal cortex, and finding out that the brain is literally getting stronger. Like, it's like a muscle. It's your gray matter is increasing as a result of your meditation practice. And it really doesn't take much. 15 to 20 minutes a day is all it takes to get that benefit. And It's not just prefrontal cortex, by the way. There's also your hippocampus. The hippocampus is the center of learning and memory. Even that, the density of that area grows as well. Again, another Harvard research study on that. So what we're saying, what we're finding anecdotally, like what we're talking about, as in, hey, I feel more control. I feel like I'm more in command of the situation. I feel like I can see it. It's happening because your brain is literally rewiring itself with, I would say rewiring, but your gray matter is increasing in the areas where it needs to increase.
Right.
It's happening. And you're training yourself again and again. So it's literally what I call the wonder drug for our minds. Just like exercise is for your body, meditation is for your mind.
Right. Exactly.
And
it's the same principle. It's like you're gonna, if you the body adapts to whatever you're doing, whatever stimulus it is. And so if you're using your brain, if you're using your prefrontal cortex to discipline your mind, to focus it back every time it wanders, it's going to grow. It's going to adapt to that. It's going to become better. It's going to become more able to perform that function, right? So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And another objection I get from a lot of people when I say, hey, it's just training for your mind. And they say, hey, man, I work every day from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. I'm training my mind every day. Not true. It's like saying, hey, I use my body every day. I'm walking around, I go to the parking lot, I do these things. This is the regular routine you're doing every single day. Or even think of a pro athlete, right? A pro athlete like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods, any of these guys. They have their practice for their sport, but they also still go to the gym to lift weights. They're still doing that every single, that's separate from their practice sessions. So they realize that it's important to train their body, and then it's important to train their skills as well. So what you're doing in your work is really training your skills. But what you're doing in meditation is training your mind, training your brain. You're literally making it stronger as a result of your workouts.
And it's deliberate practice, right? I mean, it's a difference. I think it's the same thing you could say, like you drive your car every day, but you're not becoming better at driving your car. Not really. I mean, you could drive your car for 20 years and you're not going to be a NASCAR driver, right? Yeah. You actually have to be taking it up to that level in order to be a NASCAR driver, which is the same thing I would say is like if you're working your daily day, yeah, you're using your brain, but you're not focusing it, like specifically honing in on the discipline that it requires in order to be able to keep your mind from wandering or to bring it back every time. And so it's not deliberate practice. Deliberate practice is meditation. At least that's what I've been discovering, as because I had the same argument. In fact, probably my biggest argument, which I still battle with, is that I just don't have the time to do it. Like I want, and I think like for a long time I would read books and people would say, oh, meditate. And I know the benefits and the value of it, right? Theoretically. But then I'm like, well, yeah, but gosh, I don't really want to take like 15, 20 minutes and do this. Like, I'll start some other time when I have more time. Yeah. And that's the biggest struggle that I face with it.
And I think, so there's recently I've been reading, or I read this book called Principles by Ray Dalio. You probably read it too, right? Ray Dalio is the founder of the biggest hedge fund in the world called Bridgewater. And I think his net worth is today around $18 billion. And he's literally openly said meditation is one of the biggest reasons for why he has been successful. But there was one really interesting idea in the book that I think explains exactly what you're going through, right? Then that is the idea of consequences, of understanding the difference between first order, second order, third order, fourth order consequences. A lot of people will not work out. Why? Because in that moment, when they're working out, what is the outcome? Pain, misery, burn, tiredness, all of those things. And as a result of it, they don't work out, right? They're feeling pain, tired, miserable, whatever it is. They're not working out. That's the first order consequence, though. And John, you and I know the second order consequence of this thing of working out is as soon as you're done working out, you feel pretty good. You feel light, you feel clear, you feel focused, and your body feels amazing. But the third order consequence, even further out, you start to see changes in your body. Your body starts to modify. It gets better, it gets stronger, it gets faster, it gets leaner. But the fourth order consequences, you live a better life, you live a fuller life, you live a healthier life, you live a happier life. So The benefits of meditation, even though the first order, you might not see it today, or it might be like, what the hell am I just sitting here and doing boring things, just like, workout in a gym for a lot of people. Hey, what the hell am I just sitting here and doing boring things and it hurts my body? Why should I do that? Same thing with meditation. The first order consequence is not clear.
Right.
That's why people don't even delve into it. But the second, third, and fourth order are so huge that there's a reason why, it's called the wonder drug for our minds by the scientific community today. It's the second order consequence. As soon as you're done meditating, you start to see that clarity. You start to, your mind quiets down, and now you're able to focus better. You're able to think cleaner. The stress level goes down. The third level consequence, third order consequence. Think of the research study from MIT, from Harvard, from UCLA. Literally, it's rewiring your brain. It's making your brain areas thicker, right? Fourth order consequences, we're finding peace, we're becoming more productive, we're living a healthier life, our heart is healthier. All of these consequences will come over time, though. That's the challenge most people have, that, I spend 20 minutes meditating and I don't see a return right now, so why should I invest my time? Meditation is an investment. It's almost like a lot of times people don't invest their money. Why? Because they're not getting anything today in return, right? So they don't save for retirement because, hey, the first order consequences, I just don't have the same money I used to have. It's gone somewhere, sitting somewhere that I don't know when I'll get back. So people just spend money right away rather than invest the money. But meditation is like an investment, almost like a compounding investment over time.
Exactly.
You won't instantly see the benefit most of the times. You won't instantly see that you're having peace and the angels are singing and all that stuff. Just like in a workout, after 1 hour of workout or during that 1 hour workout, all you get is pain, misery, burn, all of those things.
Yeah.
All those things, but we still do those things because we know in the long term it's going to be really, really, really beneficial. It's the same with meditation. You've got to think of the third, the fourth order consequences of meditation, which are humongous compared to the first order consequences, which is what most people are thinking about. And here's one thing I figured out, John. As I look at more and more people in life, most people who live in any dimension who are thinking of the first order consequence, they're struggling in that area of life.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Whether it's health, whether it's wealth, whether it's finances, investments, whether it's business, whatever it is, anyone who's running after an opportunity, like a quick business opportunity where I just want to make this money and get out, they're in for a lot of pain. We know that, right? But people who are building a business for a longer term, who have a vision, who are thinking of the third and the fourth order consequences, they're going to win in the long term. Short term, it's like what you talk about building an online business. When you were building an online business, when you were writing those blog posts, when you were doing videos and nobody was watching, what were you thinking?
Right. I was thinking that I'm building this for the future. This is a long-term thing that if I keep on doing this, that there's no way that I can fail in 3 years, in 4 years, in 5 years down the road. Not that I need to make money or even build an audience right now, but that by continuing to do this, that it's a guaranteed, what is the path to guaranteed success if I project it out into a 4 or 5 year time frame, right? And that was the answer. Right. Yeah. Other things could have short-term success potentially, but have a high chance of failure, right? And crashing and burning down the line. But by consistently putting out content, by continually creating value, that's going to have a long-term effect, right? You're going to benefit at the end. So
it's the same with meditation, just like it is the same with eating healthy and working out and all those things. Today you won't see the results. Tomorrow you won't see the results. Right. Over time, it keeps getting better and better and better. Problem is, most people live in the realm of simple interest.
Yeah.
Life is the realm of compound interest. What I mean by that is results will compound over time and they will grow exponentially if we keep at something. But most people want to see benefits or results right now. We're impatient with the results today.
Exactly. Yeah, I think of it as like when you talk about the second, third order consequences, I think about calculus, right? It's like in the integral, right? Yeah. It's a function of a function, right? And then you got a function of a function of a function, and a function of a function of a function. And like you don't see the pattern, right? If you just plot a couple of points on the first order function, you don't see it. right?
Yeah.
It's a totally different thing. But when you take the function of the function, all of a sudden it becomes it's a completely different shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's those things like you can't see, like it doesn't connect directly, like you said, with the working out, with the meditation. Those things are like short-term pain. Or hey, eating junk food is short-term pleasure, right? But it adds up, it compounds, and also you don't even see the pattern. Like you can't even say that. I mean, because if it were just a pattern you could recognize, you'd say, okay, well, if I keep on working out, if I keep on having pain, then I should have exponential pain. But it's not. It creates a different pattern. It creates something different, which is that adaptation, that growth, right? And then you see these other things that are tangentially related that you don't even see. Like you build your confidence, right? Now you build your discipline. Now you have mental discipline, and now that carries over somewhere else. Now that you've been in the gym, working out, lifting weights, going through this shit, you've built up mental discipline, which wasn't something you were even trying to do in a first order consequence, but now it's carried over. And now because you have that mental discipline, you succeed more in business because now you can sustain, you can do things. And I think the same thing, for meditation is it's like you can't even see where these things are going to help you in life until you zoom out and see that bigger picture, which is going to take time. It takes that compounding, just like everything.
It takes that compounding, and you have to have the patience for the results to come through. Not think that a 20-minute meditation session will send you to the heavens or something. That's not how.
Right.
Right? It's training. It gets better. It gets stronger. It gets stronger and stronger, and you start to notice the differences. But you got to have the patience to stick through it. You got to actually not worry about the fact that you spent 20 minutes this morning meditating and nothing came out of it.
Right.
We are, unfortunately, as human beings, we're wired to get results, get rewards immediately for whatever we do, right? We want the outcome now. We want the payback now. That short-term mindset, that immediate gratification mindset is what kills most people, is what drives most people to the ground in every area of life, in every aspect of life. Always the winners are the ones who are thinking longer term, while the losers are the ones who are thinking way shorter term.
Yeah.
It's consistently a pattern every area of life: health, wealth, relationships, bodybuilding, whatever you want to call it, finances, investments. People who are thinking, hey, let me just quickly get into this cryptocurrency craze, make some money and get out of it. It could be, who knows what will happen out of it. But people who are consistently planting their money into, let's say, real estate investment or something like that, knowing that it will grow and there's nothing that is much more likely. But a lot of people just want to make a quick buck. And in that process, they lose their shirt. Right? They want to get a quick workout regimen or a quick diet regimen. So they'll take crazy drugs and shit like that just to see if they can get results today. But such a dangerous path compared to understanding that all of these things, the good stuff takes time.
Exactly.
Good stuff will take time. It's like the idea of Jerzy Gregorek, who is a 4-time Olympic weightlifting champion. He says, hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. That's what people are struggling with most of the times when it comes to making decision on meditation, working out, eating healthy, all those things.
Exactly. I heard one, I forget who was talking about this, but this concept of like basically living now for the life that you want to have 5 years from now. Essentially, like if you were to take, like if you think you're going to live 5 years from now, then that person who you want to be, like that person should be your coach on telling you what to do now, right? Should be telling you what to eat, how to live your life, right? So that you're optimizing your life for 5 years from now. And if you're always optimizing your life for 5 years from now, it's just going to be better and better and better, right? As opposed to optimizing your life for what will be good today, which is the key. Is to, if you could have a conversation with yourself, like, because whether you make good choices or bad choices long term, you're going to probably be alive in 5 years unless you make really bad short term choices. But the point is, like, so 5 years from now, you're going to go on one path or the other. You're either going to be, you could be like, in 5 years, you could be totally ripped, shredded, perfect, like physique, and making a lot more money and have good mental focus and discipline and character and like all these attributes. Or you could be homeless on the street doing drugs or whatever. Like, what you do now is going to determine where you go down that path. And so, like, to have that to think about, the things that, your daily life today, optimizing for a 5-year in the future period is the sweet spot, right? That's how that the choices that you're making are the right choices.
Yeah, and here's the amazing thing. In 24 hours, it's not that difficult to find 15 minutes to do this damn thing.
Right. Yeah.
Really not that hard. 15 minutes is not that much of a time to take to train your freaking brain. The exponential results will come over time. It's compounding. It will compound over time. It will compound over time. But you've got to give yourself that 15-minute window of opportunity every single day. And that's what part of the reason why I do this is I train people on how to create a habit out of this, how to create systems and process so that you don't falter on this. Because I know we had this conversation one time and I was like, hey, are you meditating? And you're like, oh man, I haven't been able to do it for the last couple of days. And one of the things we talked about was having some sort of a trigger that would allow you to do meditation. And having specific systems in place to do meditation will help you get so much more benefit from it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that's like, that whole habit, the cycle, right? The Charles Duhigg, the power of habit, right? The idea that, like, you've got this loop, and if you can put something in there, you change the reward or you change the habit, like, you can interchange those parts, or you can add something on. I think that's a powerful way to add any kind of positive habit, or to get rid of a negative habit. So you can add meditation. You can tie it to your morning coffee. You cannot have your coffee before you meditate, right? That's the reward that you get. Now you've got a habit cycle, right? For me, it was getting on the scale, right, to check my weight. But and that might change as I'm going to travel. I'm not going to have access to the scale, but once you develop the habit, then it becomes self-sustaining.
Yeah, and yeah, so developing the habit will take time. People will falter. People will fall off the wagon. But that's like realizing that's what it's going to take effort. It's going to take time and energy and effort to develop that practice. And hopefully you will stick through it. You will persist in your persistence to get there. You will continue to develop this practice. And I know there's probably some skeptics out there who are saying, all right, man, I've heard about this meditation thing. And I personally, it's good for you. It's good for you, Manny. It's good for John. It's really not for someone who's hard charging, ambitious. Seems like you guys have got it figured out, but I'm like ambitious. I'm hard charging. I don't want to do this stuff, right? And I think the most powerful thing you can do for yourself as an ambitious person is to get your mind under control.
Right.
And there's nothing I know that will get your mind under control like meditation.
Yeah, very true. Now, what about like the technique? Because I think one of the other things that kind of, I guess there was two aspects of it that kind of threw me off. Well, one of them was like, well, I'm not sure exactly what I need to do for meditation, and then like, do I have to like and then when I used to meditate before, I was like, oh, I'm failing because I'm not clearing my mind. I'm thinking about something, and then I'm like, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about something, and then I'm like, oh shit. Now I'm constantly having this inner dialogue. I'm like, I'm not doing it right because I have this inner dialogue. What's the answer to that?
Right. So that is actually the first thing that trips up a lot of people. That's one of the most fundamental things that will trip up most people in their meditation practice. Just the idea that somehow it all has to be perfect, right? Everything has to be perfect. And the second idea is also the fact that as soon as you become an observer, you stop being a judge. What you were doing so far, you were being a judge.
Right.
What we need to do in meditation is become an observer. And that changes the game completely because now you have risen above it. When you are fighting against yourself, saying, oh, I didn't do it, I screwed it up, blah, 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 you're still stuck in your own game. You're still stuck in your own head, trying to fight your own thoughts and saying, hey, I want to clear my mind. I don't want you here. However, what meditation is saying is, or the teaching of meditation is saying is, it doesn't matter what thoughts are coming.
Right.
Observe. Let's go back to the breath. Don't fight. Let's just keep going back to the breath, right? You observe that the mind has wandered away and you keep bringing it back to the breath. The power of meditation is in that observation. It's not in the judgment. It's in the observation that it has wandered away, and now you bring it back to the present moment. That is the training, because that's what's going to happen in your life every single time.
Right.
So in life, when you are mad, are you going to fight? Like if you keep on fighting with yourself, man, I'm mad. I'm so freaking mad. I don't understand why I'm mad. I'm mad at being mad. I'm just angry about the fact that I get mad all the time, right? You're still in the throes of it. You're still inside the freaking washing machine. You're being around.
Yeah.
But what meditation does, this is an example actually I borrowed from Tim Ferriss. He explained it better than I've ever heard anyone. He's like, when I'm not meditating, I'm inside the washing machine. I'm being thrown around by all these emotions and these things that are happening to me. But when I'm meditating, I'm actually outside the washing machine and I can see everything that's going on inside there.
Exactly.
And that's the distinction, right? For a lot of people, when they're thinking, I need to clear my mind, they're still thinking, they're still stuck inside the washing machine. They're fighting everything that's going on in the washing machine. And they're saying, hey, stop, washing machine, stop. But the key for meditation is to realize I'm just an observer. This shit is going on. That's fine. Let's come back to the present moment.
Right.
So
that's I think that's a powerful phrase. The shit is going on. That's fine. Actually.
Yeah. That is a part of the meditation practice. Realize that it is okay. One of the biggest epiphanies I've had in my life is to realize that I'm unhappy and it is quite okay to be there. Like I'm struggling and it is okay for me to struggle. I am not, life is not the way it is, I want it to be, and it is okay. As soon as I had that awareness, as soon as I had that epiphany that I am struggling and it is okay for me to struggle, I stopped struggling the struggle. Like I stopped fighting the struggle, right? I become an observer of the struggle now. I become an observer of the fact that I'm in pain. Okay, well, I'm unhappy. Okay, well, this is happening, but that is part of life. As soon as you accept that it's part of life, it doesn't throw you back into the washing machine. Now you are outside the washing machine looking at it.
Right, and that's the path to emotional mastery, right? Like you have to have that. I remember, kind of the first time that I really started to realize that I'd actually started to achieve any level of emotional mastery was when I was sitting in my car in traffic, and I was getting pissed off, and as soon as I got pissed off, my immediate thought in my head went, oh, that's interesting. You're getting angry right now at like what things that you can't control. That's silly. And I started laughing. And I realized that that's the thing that we're going for, right? Is that ability to be able to recognize what's happening internally within you, and then to be able to change that state or to control it because you're able to see it, because you can't see it when you're in it, right? Normally, right? And I think that's one of the things that so far meditation has been helping me to even more enhance that ability, is to be able to say, okay, this is what's going on. As you can't diagnose it. It's almost like you can become your own psychiatrist or a psychologist, because you can now see what's happening, which most people lack that completely. Most people are living completely in 100% reaction mode. If you push them, you can test this, because you can just you can mess with people, right? If you fucking push someone and they get angry, right? Or you push their button and they get angry, they're reacting, right? But someone who has control, emotional mastery, when that happens, they think, they stop, they have a space in between, and they decide how to respond, right? But that only comes from constantly having that practice of being aware of seeing what's going on, of knowing yourself enough to know that you have initial reaction, but you hold that for a second and you observe that, and then you say, okay, now how would I actually like to respond, as opposed to what the animal, the monkey brain, is going to respond this way, but what am I going to do?
Beautiful, man. I couldn't have put it better. Actually, as you just said, like, it's emotional mastery, and not only that, it's being proactive rather than reactive. I don't know in 7 habits if being proactive is number 1 or number 2 as one of the highest habits of being highly effective, but it is one of the top 2, right? Being proactive. And this is what exactly meditation teaches us, to stop being reactive in this world and be proactive, as in you have the right to choose at any given moment your response. And meditation creates the space. Meditation creates that awareness. It creates the space. And as you develop your meditation practice, this space becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, right? You have more and more awareness of what is happening, more and more meta level awareness of every single moment as it's happening. And that makes it so much easier to be proactive with every different area of life. If you are ambitious, you better be freaking proactive. Because if you're ambitious and you're reactive, you're probably being driven by someone else. You're probably being, you're someone else's monkey at that point.
Exactly. Yep.
Because if you are ambitious and you're proactive, you're going to make something of yourself in this world. Here's the other thing that you're talking about, which is the monkey mind versus the evolved mind. So literally what we call amygdala, the part of the brain, the lizard brain.
Yeah.
So University of Wisconsin did the study on Vipassana meditation, the kind of meditation that I teach. By the way, we should talk also about the idea that of all the different kinds of meditation, what should people do? Because I think people should be able to understand all the different kinds and kind of explore why one is better or the other. So I want to talk about that. But before we do, the University of Wisconsin study on Vipassana meditation, it actually showed, and same, the Harvard study was actually also on Vipassana, but this showed that Vipassana will literally shrink. It reduces gray matter in areas of brains related to stress and anxiety.
Okay.
It reduces gray matter in areas of brain related to stress and anxiety, which is the amygdala, the hijack, the flight or fight mechanism, the fear mechanism, the lizard brain. That's what it's literally forcing it to not be that hyperactive all the time. Meditation is doing that for us. So 3 different areas of the brain. I'm sure there's so many other areas that I'm not a brain scientist, I'm not a neuroscientist, so I can't really go into the exact details, but there's so much research papers you can go and study. But prefrontal cortex is the control, it's the executive function. That's the thing that tells you what to do, where to do, right? Amygdala is your lizard brain, the monkey brain, if you want to call it, the more animal, the reptilian brain that just responds to feelings. And then there's the hippocampus, which is related to your memory and learning. So the meditation, what it's doing is it's improving the power of your prefrontal cortex, your executive function. It's improving the power of your hippocampus, which is the learning and memory part. And it is reducing density in areas of the brain related to anxiety and stress, which is the amygdala. So amazing insights that people are getting just from fMRI scans of meditators now. So this thing is freaking dynamite.
It just reminded me, there's a book, I don't know if you read this one, called Evolve Your Brain by Joe Dispenza.
I think I have it on my bookshelf.
It's good. He talks about all the different areas of your brain. And in fact, I think in that book, he was talking about the idea. It's kind of funny that we call it monkey mind, because I believe that he said that the biggest difference between humans and chimpanzees is in other, other monkeys and whatnot is the prefrontal cortex is much larger, right? In fact, that's why human births are like why human babies are born without the ability, like if a calf pops up out of a cow, it just starts running. It knows how to do whatever it can eat, like it. But a human baby is actually born prematurely, very prematurely, because of the cranium size, but not just the cranium size. It's the prefrontal cortex, which is what controls basically our ability to actually think rationally and to be able to have any kind of so we don't react, so that we can actually have discipline and we can actually choose what we do. Whereas animals can't really choose what they do. I mean, to some degree they can, but ultimately they're driven by their animal instincts, whereas we have the ability to override that. We don't just like have a desire. We have to like go eat or punch something or have sex with something. Like we can make a choice and say, probably not the best thing to do right now. Mm-hmm. Right. Whereas animals can't. And the biggest difference is that. And so that's why, I think that this is really, really important, as well as because when you consider what is freedom, like what is your ability to exercise your will upon the world is kind of my definition of it. And that is entirely dependent on your ability to regulate your own self, right? Mm-hmm. If you can't regulate yourself, you can't accomplish anything that you want in life, right? It's like the biblical, Paul saying that, I do what I don't want to do, right? and that's a predicament that we're all in. But the better we become at doing what we want to do, the more effective we are at accomplishing our goals in life, right? Everyone who's ever tried to lose weight or get in shape or follow a diet has realized that they cannot actually control what they want to do, that they're not actually in control, right? The way to become successful, you want to become successful at whatever you're doing, is to be able to gain that control, to gain that ability. And so what's the best way to do it? Is to practice it, which meditation is the actual focus of doing that.
Yeah, meditation is a workout for your brain. It's as simple as that. A lot of the times people get confused meditation with religion, spirituality, with all the different things. Well, you've seen my course on meditation.
Right, yeah.
Any aspect of spirituality or religion in it. It's I want to get your feedback on it. Like, was there anything along those lines?
No, I mean, it's completely straight. Just do this. Like, this is what you do, just steps. There's no, I think that, just from my own personal experience, I think that you can take any kind of like a meditative experience and you can add a religious element to it, right? It can enhance your ability to, I would say, commune with a higher being, because you have that clarity. Like, you don't have all this shit going on in your head that's preventing you from doing that. But there's nothing inherently, like, they're two different things. It's like, clearing your mind and getting into that state of self-awareness is something that may enhance your ability to function better at your job, but it may also enhance your ability to function better as communing with a higher being, or getting in touch with your spirituality and realizing what's going on. I think, like, it's more, to me, like, the way I look at it is, if you are more aware of yourself, that is the ultimate spirituality anyway, right? It's like self-awareness, right? Is what, if you look at any religion, it's always going to come down to self-awareness, right? Whether it's, do this or don't do that, it's the ability to control, discipline, self-awareness, right? So
is that most religions are out to control people. So,
right.
Giving them self-control or self-awareness, they want to control their minds and turn them into sheep. That's my thinking. Unfortunately, for me, religion draws the line where I unless I can analyze it, for me, it's like, what the hell? And a lot of times, unfortunately, religion forces people into specific dogmas and beliefs and mindsets and say, you must do this. You go to the priest and he forces you to these things, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. So religion is a tool, a great tool that was invented at some point to ensure that people did what the powerful people in the society wanted people to do. Right. That's one way to look at religion, right? It was, you put in some stories, you put in some metaphors, and you force people to do what you want them to do. What's brilliant about meditation, and specifically Vipassana meditation, the Vipassana word comes from a Sanskrit word called Pali. Pali was the language back then. V and Pasna. Pasna means to observe, and V means powerful. So all it is powerful observation.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with Buddha, even though it was taught by Buddha. That's the tradition that's been handed down generation to generation in India for the last 2,500 years. Meditation practice that was taught, but it's got nothing to do with Buddha. Buddha just showed the path. He just showed the way to do it. But he never in any of the meditation, he said, hey, you must bow down to me. You must pray to me. You must take my name, or anything like that. That was never the objective of his teachings. It was just like, hey, I figured this out. I want to share it with you guys. His name was Buddha, so it ended up being whatever it was. Right. But the practice itself has got nothing to do with religion, with deities, with spirituality, or anything like that. It's just straight up freaking workout for your brain. It's hardcore, old school workout for your brain. That's what it is.
I think of it as like, even just Buddhism in general. To me, I mean, now obviously there's different sects in there, and to some degree it becomes more religious than not. But I think of it as like, it's the difference between the Democrat, Republican, and Libertarian. Mm-hmm. Like, if you understand Libertarian enough, you realize that it's actually not a political. It's more of an ideology. It's a higher level, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing. It's like, religions. There's so many world religions, but the practice, the Buddhist practice or the concept behind it is more of an idea. It's like the Tao. It's like the same thing as that. It's not prescribing a thing, it's giving you a higher level of awareness, right? And so I think that's why meditation ties so well into that, and that's why it's tied so much together. But it's really hard. Like if you're Republican or Democrat, like, and you've never heard of libertarianism, you think that, well, it's either this or that, and it's very dogmatic, right, in the beliefs. Whereas it's hard to understand the higher level concept, and I think it's the same thing where meditation gets tied in there. But if you think about it too, like every single major world religion has two elements in common, right? And this is one of the things that, like, you can kind of test this, and you can look around and you can see that every single major world religion has fasting and meditation, right, in some form, right? Now, there's all looks like different forms, but when you look at every religion, right, the deep prayer, right, all these type of things, it's really some form of meditation, and then there's always some form of fasting. So I guess what I'd say is that depending on where you are, I think this could fit into whatever it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not something that is gonna be a religious practice. It's not like, as people say the same thing with yoga too, right? They're like, oh, well, yoga, it's a religious thing. Well, I mean, yeah, traditionally, but the way that it's practiced today, like the core elements of it are not. Like, you can separate out what is happening scientifically from the religious aspect of a thing. And even though meditation has been tied into many religions, what is happening fundamentally is different. The same thing as fasting, right? They say, oh, well, if I'm fasting, am I religious? And all people always ask me about Ramadan, like, you're fasting, you must be practicing Ramadan. I'm like, no, I'm just fasting. Like, it's like, because there's benefits to it. It doesn't have to tie into the religious aspect of it, right?
What has happened is the word meditation has been bastardized, and it has a branding problem, as Tim likes to say. What has happened is people think meditation, like, what has happened is anytime someone sits down and closes their eyes and thinks of something, people are thinking that this is meditation. Right. But I want to be very careful in this. I wish I could come up with a new name for this practice, more like brain training rather than calling it meditation, because literally that's what it is, right? Saying that it's just a workout for your brain. There's nothing more to it. There's no religion, no spirituality, no deities, no candles, no visions, no mantras, nothing like that. Because there's all sorts of meditations like that, like the chakra meditation or the visualization of your god, or, looking at a candle or mantra, you must recite this mantra from Sanskrit and anything like that. And even though I come from India, I don't believe in any of those, because I've literally gone through each of these meditations. Like, I have gone. So a lot of people might be wondering, you introduced me initially as a meditation expert, and I want to kind of give people a little background on what my story of meditation, of how I got into meditation. I started meditating back in over 20 years ago, and it was because I'd gone through a really hard, painful lesson in life. What had happened is I was giving one of the biggest exams of my life. It's a college entrance exam in India called IIT JEE, which, if you're Indian, you probably know it's one of the biggest exams in the country. Only 2.5% of the students are accepted. 100,000 students write the exam, so you only have very limited opportunity to get into that exam. And my brother had excelled at that exam 4 years ago, and the pressure was on me to perform, to do really well in that exam. And believe it or not, man, the night before the exam, I could not fall asleep till like 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. Like, my mind was going so crazy. I was so stressed out. I was so nervous. I was so in my head, I could not fall asleep. And my dad gave me a sleeping pill, and the next morning I woke up at like 7 a.m. to go write the exam. And I wrote one of the worst exams of my life. And fast forward a month later, I got the results, and I got a rank that was just so down, like in the bottom of the 10% of the qualifying class. So I expected to be in the top 200, 300. I came out in the bottom 300. And I was like, what the fuck? I mean, what the hell happened here, right? How did I underperform so badly? I still qualified. I just ended up in the bottom half of the class, or the bottom 10%. And to me, that was a big failure. To me, this was one of the biggest failures in my life, because I never expected myself to be that bad. at this test. I thought I could do very well. I had been working hard on this for 3 years of my life, or more than 3 years of my life. And for me, I saw people who didn't even work as hard as I did, who weren't even as smart, because I knew we would study together, we would go take tests together, we would practice together, and I knew they weren't as smart, they hadn't worked as hard, they hadn't spent as much time on this shit, all of the above, and they still got much better ranks than me. Man, that kills me. You know, when you feel like you deserve something and you see other people get what you want, what you deserve, it's just like the biggest pain in the world. So when that happened, like when the results came through, I was so depressed. I was like, this is shit. Because what happens in India is, when, depending on the rank, depending on what rank you get to choose your major in your engineering school, like which campus you go to. And I ended up not being able to go to electrical engineering, computer engineering. I ended up studying physics, which I didn't want to do. So I was really pissed off about this whole thing. I was really mad that I screwed up. I couldn't handle stress. I couldn't handle this anxiety. And in my search, I found my first meditation camp in my hometown. It was in 1996, in the summer of 1996. And that was the first time I went to a Vipassana 10-day meditation retreat. I did not want to go to it. I did not care about meditation. I did not care about spirituality. I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. My brother kind of forced me into it. He's like, no, this is good for you. It will help. So I unwillingly gave it a shot. But as soon as I did it, that's when I realized, man, I can't believe how crazy my mind is. And also the fact that now I feel that I have some tools to actually manage my mind, manage my emotions, control my emotions. So that's when actually my journey for meditation started, back in 1996. And since then, I've been to 4 of these camps, these 10-day meditation retreats, and I've tried all sorts of meditation, like mantra, chakra, visualization, guided, this, that, like everything under the sun. I tried everything because I was trying to find out more about these things. And I kept coming back to Vipassana because it was the most non-denominational, most secular, had nothing to do with the external world. It was all within me. And to me, as a physicist, as a scientist, I was like, this is the most I can see this to be the most purest form in some ways compared to everything else I was finding there. So for 20 years, I've been meditating. There have been times when I've meditated on and off. For 20 years, I've been doing that. But one of the best things I saw come out of my meditation practice was my ability to focus and handle stress, no matter how difficult the situation gets. And I remember I've shared with you quite a few of my stories, but one of them was like in 2004 when I got laid off and on H-1B visa. I literally had 30 days to find a job, and this was back in Austin. I had 30 days to find a job, or I would have to leave the country. You know, since I was on H-1B, I would have to leave the country if you don't find a new job within 30 days. And literally, under that stress, under that pressure, I got 3 job offers within 30 days, while my friends couldn't find job offers for 6 months.
Right.
The same person, 1996 to 2004, what happened? I learned how to become a master of my own emotions, master of my own domain, rather than those emotions just taking me along for a ride. I could be focused and productive. I could get shit done under the most stressful situations. And that's what a job interview demands of you. When the person is staring down at you and saying you must do it, and not only that, you might get kicked out of the country, you better fucking deliver. And to me, that's like the pinnacle of getting shit done. And that's why I feel like I've been doing it for so long. I've got so many results. This is just one of the many things that meditation has helped me accomplish. But I want to give an example for people to realize how powerful this practice can be.
You became what Tim Grover calls the cleaner, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, it got to the point where it was ridiculous. At some point, I would get like 5 job offers. Like I got laid off a couple other times, and same thing. Like I would just get job offers compared to the guy who just completely crumbled under pressure, who could not handle stress, who was so nervous that screwed up the biggest exam of my life. And here I am on the other side. And I know it's because of meditation. It's like because of meditation, I'm able to manage myself, manage my emotions, and be focused, be productive, get shit done, to learn faster, to memorize. Same with 2,000 books. What I do, my whole job is about learning and being able to gather information out, process that information, learn it, do it faster and faster. And again, meditation is the wonder drug for me.
And I think that connection, it's interesting that I think that it's kind of, you develop that ability to to not choke under pressure, but to still to thrive under it, because you've got the ability to both desire something but not be attached so much to the outcome, to have the drive for it yet not need it, right? Because you realize that no matter what, I think, you know, one of the things that I've discovered on the path to kind of to self-improvement and self-discovery is that, like, when you learn enough about yourself, when you actually like sit in silence and you realize that, like, I mean, it's all gonna be okay. It's all gonna work out, right? And when you have that underlying safety net of, you know, no matter what happens, I'm gonna learn something, or I'll figure something out. It'll work out. Like, you don't have that pressure, then you can perform and you can guide yourself under pressure. Like, now it's like, okay, it doesn't matter what happens, but now's game time, and now I need to make my shots. You can do that. Whereas before, when you feel like you've got the gun to your head and it's like all or nothing, and if this doesn't work out, you're fucked, then you're going to choke, right? And it's like, but the only way to gain that is to have that emotional mastery, to realize that, okay, you know, I can control this. I can focus. Everything's going to be okay no matter what. And you're not going to get that assurance unless you have that level of introspection into yourself to realize that, because most people never ever operate at that level, I think. So
yeah. At some point, the pressure becomes fun, because then you realize that's when the big boys come to play, and now it's your turn to play. You better, you know. So meditation, as we were talking about all this time, it's making you more and more a master of your own domain. And I couldn't say it, you know, it's like you become the ultimate master, which is a master of your own domain, as Stoicism would say, right? Stoicism is all about like controlling, becoming a master of yourself, not the external world, but yourself.
Right. Yeah. I think, and it's interesting. I think you find, like, most of these concepts are all connected, right? It's all kind of the same thing, right? And these are ways, these are paths to get there, right? I think that you can find that. But meditation is a very straightforward path that anyone can do. That's why I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, you can find some of these same things through extreme physical discipline, right? I think, you know, you look at the yogic practices, and like there's multiple ways, right? Like, if you punish yourself physically through just extreme physical discipline, you can find some sense of enlightenment or self-awareness through the depths of finding where your actual physical limit is. But that's a lot harder than sitting down for 20 minutes and clearing your head, right?
I would say that, you know, bodily practices have their place.
Yeah.
Have their place. Emotional practices have their place. You know, physical practice. Everything has its space in our domain, in the world. Like, I often talk about the 5 wonder drugs of life, and meditation is one of them. So is physical workout. You know, it's super important. If you're not working out, man, you need to go work out. Like, literally, that's just as important as your mental workout. Your physical workout and your mental workout will go hand in hand. Please do both of them. Don't sacrifice one or the other. Both are important. By the way, before we go, I want to quickly kind of answer maybe questions you might have about the meditation course, because I know you will be participating in that as well. Let's talk about the course. So as you guys know, obviously there's something to sell here. There's some there's got to be some reason, right? I'm pretty real with you guys, so you guys know that there's obviously some reason why I've got Manny on here besides just talking about meditation. But and it's really because it's a benefit, right? I mean, everything that I'm doing here is what I feel is the benefit for you guys. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I mean, really, you know, I don't really need money, unless you're going to give me a shit ton of money. If you want to give me, like, you want to buy something for me for like a couple $1 million, I'll take that. But aside from that, you know, it's really keeping the lights on and keeping this business running. But with that said, Manny is running a live meditation workshop, which I think is going to be really cool, really beneficial. I wanted to introduce you guys to it because I feel like it's something that, you know, if you're struggling to start meditating and you need a little bit of a help to get you committed to it and have some accountability, and two, to know that you're doing it right, because I think, like, it's, you know, we could tell you all this stuff, but if you've got kind of a guideline, a framework to follow, which I've gone through some of the teaching that Manny is going to be doing in this live seminar, and they're really good, and it helped me to say, okay, I can follow steps. I know what to, like, if I do this and I listen to this, I can do that. So it's kind of something that's going to, I think, help you to get
to initially get started, so you can develop the habit and to start to see some of the benefits immediately that are going to continue to encourage you to keep on doing it. So I highly recommend it. Manny, I think can probably tell you a little bit more about what he's got going on here.
Right. So it's 4 weeks, and one of the things that I wanted to do was to make sure that no matter what questions you have, every one of them will be answered whenever we go live. So we'll do 4 live sessions where I will explain the process, I will explain the mindsets, I will explain exactly everything behind meditation, and we'll go from basic to advanced, from the most basic to the most advanced. And a lot of stuff that we didn't talk about today, which is observing your body and your sensations. That's something, John, you haven't gone to that one, but we'll get there in the live process. And you'll see why it's so much more powerful than what I've been able to explain so far. So we'll go into the 4 levels, the most advanced level as well. But more importantly, one thing I struggled with when I took some of these meditation or some of these courses back in the days was that if I had a question, there was nobody to answer that for me. So I struggled with that idea, and then it just was like, whatever, I struggled when I gave up that practice. However, what I'm going to do here is every call that we do, I will stay on the call till each and every question is answered. So no matter what, no matter how obscure your question, no matter how difficult the question about meditation, I'll give my very best to make sure that I get you to the next step, right? Most people stop meditating because either they don't feel like they're getting a sense of progress in that, or they feel like they're not doing the right thing. Somehow they feel like they're doing the wrong thing and it's just a waste of time. So I want to make sure none of that happens to you. Whatever questions you have, if you're struggling with it, if you are feeling like you're not making progress, if you don't know if you're doing the right thing, or if you don't know if you're getting how to get the benefits of it, everything you ask me, I will get the answer to you. So that's my commitment. That's the most important commitment I'm making to you, which is to say, I will be live till all your questions are answered every single week.
Awesome. All right. Well, if you guys, I definitely encourage you to sign up, check it out. He's got a full money back guarantee on it if it's not valuable to you, which I can't see how it wouldn't be, as long as you follow it. Check out in the description. We'll have a link also in the cards, and you can sign up there. And yeah, make sure you take advantage of this and get started. And let me know what you guys think when you do take the course. And yeah. I'm excited. So
as always, John always, Benson, like what we call it, forces me to give a discount to you guys. So there's a pretty sizable discount for John's viewers that you guys will see when you click on that compared to the regular price.
Yeah, so go check it out. At least go click and see what your special discount will be here. But yeah, awesome. All right, well, we should probably wrap this up here. Yeah, thanks for taking the time, Manny, and I'm looking forward to joining everyone in the classes and seeing the results and hearing the good feedback from everyone. So
awesome. Well, see you guys inside the course, guys.
All right, take care.
Bye.